Pittsburgh Steelers coaches Mike Tomlin, Danny Smith, and others around the whole NFL, whether it be players or coaches, are kind of furious about this new rule change on special teams and think it's going to affect the game greatly, but obviously are willing to adjust. The rule change, which I'll get into shortly, just in case if you guys don't know, it happened a few months ago, but this is the real first time Mike Tomlin and Danny Smith were asked about it in last week's interviews, so that's why I'm covering it right now. But here's the new rule change in case you guys don't know what it is for this upcoming season. So basically what it is, you guys know how in the NFL, when you take a fair catch or take a knee off of a kickoff in the NFL, it goes back to the 25-yard line, but you have to be behind the end zone in order to do it. Well, now, as long as you call the fair catch anywhere between the 25 and the 0-yard line, the Steelers and any other team will be able to take the ball out to the 25-yard line. So just in case if it's a short kick and you have to field it at the 10-yard line, it's not really a good kick, so you can't take it that far. If you call a fair catch because you think you won't make it far out, you give your team better field position and you'll still get the ball at 25-yard line no matter if you're in the end zone or not in the end zone. So now I'm going to go into some quotes that Mike Tomlin said about the rule change before I get into why they actually switched the rule to begin with. So Mike Tomlin said he had no idea how the new rule change would be approached technically. So he said, "I don't think that any of us do. I think anything that we say this time of year is somewhat speculative, and so I will hold my cards." So with him specifically, he's not the one who's furious. Other players have spoken out, but obviously Mike Tomlin's a kind of a level-headed coach, doesn't get too up, doesn't get too down, and is kind of even-keeled and doesn't really admit to much stuff. But obviously it's going to be a big difference because when you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers in recent memory, all their kickoffs, they barely ever kick it out of the end zone or kick it into the end zone. Most of their kicks get returned. They're one of the highest teams in the league in terms of having their kicks returned. They always kind of kick it short and make the other team adjust and actually return the kickoff. Yes, they haven't been great at tackling on kickoff special teams or punts the last few years from kind of an eye view, not really statistically, because I really don't know much about that. I didn't look into that, but it's just kind of an eye view from watching the game. They haven't been great at tackling, but they do allow the team to kind of return it and don't kick it through the end zone, whether that be planned or just Chris Boswell in general, but they kind of have the team return the kicks. Here's what Danny Smith, Steelers special teams coach, had to say about the rule change. "That's where they're going next. And I'm all for making the game safer. It's just that special teams, it's an easy place to attack for some reason. They'll move on, you say your piece, and hope it's heard. People diminish that part of the game until you're in a critical game in the AFC North, in the weather, and the ball's in play. Early in the season, not so much, it doesn't really matter. In indoor games, they might give you 1 or 2 returns in the division that we play in, but in the weather we play in, you're going to have to return some balls. Your job is to get field position for the offense, so you better have one." So with Danny Smith, he's been a special teams coach for a long time now, and he's been with the Steelers a long time, and he kind of has his own philosophy of how he goes about his business on special teams that he's been doing for a while. So now he's gonna have to adjust, and obviously he believes that the rule shouldn't have happened because he said that he said his part and hoped that it was heard, but they switched it anyway because they're trying to make the game safer. So a player on the Steelers who's known as a special teams ace and has been that for his entire career and has kind of made a living in the NFL based on that, Gunnar Olszewski, who the Steelers brought in last year and returned kicks and punts at the beginning of the year before Steven Sims took over after Olszewski kind of muffled a couple punts and wasn't doing so well. He kind of sounded off on the NFL for making this adjustment to the special teams, and a big part of a reason why he's on a roster because he's not really as effective as a wide receiver, but he makes a roster because of special teams. But they're kind of taking that away. Here's what he had to say. "You can't undangerous the game of football, in my opinion. Personally, I don't like hearing guys who don't sound like they understand football making decisions on our game. The Players Association doesn't give us a chance to vote on anything like that. I'm not looking to complain about it. I hate it. I think it stinks for guys who are special teamers and guys who try to go out there and do their jobs and make a name for themselves. They're taking chances away from us. So here's what he had to say. He continued on. The lab coats are changing our game. They never played football, and now they're making decisions for us. It feels wrong, and it feels like we have no power. The owners voted on it, those guys deciding how we play now. I think we definitely need to have more of a voice, not just special teamers, but the players in general. They're trying to change our game for us, the current players, not to have a say in what's wrong, that's not right. So obviously, like I said, Gunnar Olszewski, he's a special teams ace. He makes the NFL based on his special teams. No other really reason, because he doesn't provide much as a wide receiver. Maybe as a slot, but that's it. So last season, even though he wasn't great, the reason why he made the team was because of his special teams capabilities. But they're taking away that from people. Because when you think about it, some people on defense, they don't make it because of their defense. They make it because they have to earn their spot on special teams first, and then earn their spot on like a defense or offense. But now they're taking away that opportunity for those people who are purely special teams trying to make a name for themselves in the league and trying to make a roster spot. Because if they're given less opportunities to make those plays on special teams, to return those kicks, return those punts, and kind of prove yourself, it's giving less opportunity for them to make a roster spot. And now removing and adding this rule in to the game limits that opportunity and takes away from people's chances. And I know you guys as well, you guys say, oh, they might as well just go to flag football because they're making all these rule changes to protect the players. I know you guys don't like it because I've seen that in my comments saying that they're protecting the players too much. But that's how Gunnar Olszewski, that's how Mike Tomlin, and that's how Danny Smith feel about the rule change in the NFL for special teams this upcoming season. And here's what former Steelers linebacker as well had to say, Vince Williams, just recently. Here's what he had to say. The recent NFL kickoff rule is disappointing. Late round special teamers will have a hard time proving their worth. Personally, I signed a decent special teams contract that allowed me to improve my linebacker skills. Kickoff was where I had some of my most memorable moments. So he just said that 4 days ago, but I'm just covering it now because I want to get everyone's thoughts on it and waiting for all the questions to be asked. They didn't really come up with quotes about it in previous weeks, so now it's a video covering it. But obviously players around the NFL have spoken about it. It's not just Steelers players as well. Players on Patriots, their special teams ace, they spoke out about it. Other players, other coaches around the league are also speaking about it. They don't like it. So I went through of why they kind of don't like it, but now let me tell you the reason why the NFL added the rule and their explanation for it. So if you're aware and watch college football, the NCAA added this rule in ahead of the 2018 season. And since then, they've seen a large decrease in concussions, and they added this rule that kind of people at NFL said it was because they can't just sit there and not do anything, because they've seen the statistics based on the less concussions reducing by like 15%, they said, and they couldn't just sit there and do nothing. They had to make this rule change, and as of right now, it's only for this season, and they're testing it for only this season. Yes, they could add it long term if they see that decrease in the statistics in concussions this season, or injuries just in general on kickoffs. If they see that big large leap in decreasing in concussions and injuries, they'll keep it. But that's the reason why they did it, because they want less concussions and they feel as though it's a high impact thing on the kickoffs because they're at full speed. And that's really the only portion of the game where it's really at full speed, kind of running from one end of the field to the other end of the field, high contact. Yes, running backs get contact a lot at full speed, but other than that, it's really, really close and minimal contact in terms of closeness and kind of the build up to the speed. That's really the only part of the game that has the players run down the field to tackle at full speed. So obviously that's why they're making this adjustment. And I'm all for player safety, but you're kind of taking the kickoff out of the game, and the football aspect of the game is called football. So you're kind of taking the foot out of the game, out of the punts and out of the kickoffs. Yes, you have field goals, but you're taking the kick portion out of the game, and that's kind of sometimes the most entertaining part, because you could be aware of long kickoff returns, punt returns, sometimes if those go for touchdowns, that's really the exciting part of the game, seeing a player succeed in that area and seeing if they could take it back to the house on any given play, especially with the quickness and speed of some players in the NFL, like Cordell Patterson and even Kelvin Austin for this upcoming season. Some of us were wondering if he could take that leap in that area on special teams and take over there. But with this new kickoff rule change, it might be hard for him because they might have to adjust to that rule and do more fair catches within the 25-yard line. So, with that being said, let me know down in the comments below. How do you feel this new rule change of being able to call a fair catch even if you're not inside the end zone as long as you're inside the own 25-yard line? Do you feel as though it's good? Do you feel as though it's bad? And do you believe as though they're protecting the players too much or it's fine? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well if you like serious content, analysis, reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for the channel as well so you get notified whenever I post next year's video. Click the bell down below so you never miss out. I cover everything, news and rumors for the Steelers, reports and everything like that. All new players added on the team this offseason. Their introductions are on the channel. Go ahead and watch it if you want. And if you want to see a specific video about a player, about a certain topic, let me know down in the comments below as well so I can make it in the upcoming days. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.